He's been known to be sick because of the COVID situation. He's been known with illnesses. We've already gone through the heavyweight division being held up. You know, the 205-pound division's kind of lagging. Wasn't there a fighter recently just said that he wouldn't be surprised if he retired right there in the cage?
All right. So, friend of the show, Dean Thomas, he was on the Bohnfire, which is a Mike Bohn podcast, and he said that it would be a disaster for the UFC if Khamzat Chimaev wins the belt at UFC 319. He said that due to Khamzat's inactivity, visa issues. So, what do you guys think? Do you think it would really be that dramatic, that disastrous for our good sport?
Absolutely not. Will it be damaging for the sport or damaging for the UFC? No. You know, it's so funny because Khamzat at one time, and I said something and people got all mad at me because the UFC was actually pushing Khamzat as the guy who was going to have the most fights, the fastest number of fights in the UFC of anybody ever. And I go, you know, the fastest guy to have 4 fights in the UFC, and I go, Royce Gracie had 4 fights in a night. Don't give me that bullshit, okay?
New era. Talent's way harder here.
It is. I'm not going to say it's not, but still, you can't sit there and discount what other people have done when it's been done. Yeah, you know, modern era, and you want to say with rounds and stuff and no tournaments, okay. But Khamzat was a guy that was going to have more fights than anyone. He has run into problems with visas, and that is a problem for the UFC. But they can always get around those problems because the UFC is the one that decides where they put their fights.
Yeah.
And so, you know, will it be a problem if Khamzat beats DDP? No. They'll work with it. They'll work at getting him visas in the States so they can do fights here with him. And if they can't, they got plenty of places that they can go and take their champion to do fights for the middleweight title.
Yeah, I'm not on the bandwagon of saying it'll be disaster, but I will say that I agree with Dean a little bit. He's been known to be sick because of the COVID situation. He's been known with illnesses. Those are the things I think most people are, I think that Dean's mainly talking about. Now, he's had visa problems. That's been fixed. I would assume that's because Dana and Trump. I would assume that that's why. Because now all of a sudden he's allowed to. Now, that may go away in 4 years. So
3.5.
You never know. Yeah, 3.5. But I do get concerned that if he is ill, if he is sick, if he's having, health problems, health issues, that does scare me a little bit because look, we've already gone through the heavyweight division being held up. The 205-pound division's kind of lagging. One of the divisions, finally the middleweight division, has got some activity and they've got great activity.
Some momentum.
Yes, it's fun to watch, man. I mean, I'd love to see Alex come back down and fight at 85. It won't happen. He's 240 right now. But you know what I mean? Like I understand what he's talking about. I'm not quite convinced though that it'll happen. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I know that I'm trying to cross them. They're still, but I mean, for me, I'm trying to look at the positive side and being like, hey, once he becomes champion, obviously they'll probably fight him more over in, in the Middle East or somewhere in Europe, Sweden, whatever it is. They'll fight him somewhere in the Europe area. So visa problems won't be as much of an issue. That's one thing. 2 is I'm sure that they will try to keep him as active as they possibly can without making him sick, without to the point where he can take care of his body, take care of himself. I think that'll be better for him, not having to worry about traveling overseas, any of those things. So fingers crossed that he stays healthy and whoever wins this fight, it wins this fight. But I don't think the UFC is thinking like if he wins, it's tragic. No, it's not. No. But I would be a little concerned about his health. Truly would be. Wasn't there a fighter recently just said that he wouldn't be surprised if he retired right there in the cage?
Yeah, someone did.
Chimaev won the title that he would retire right there in the cage. Yeah. Kai Bahalo, I think, said that.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Not even possible.
They've trained together, Kai and Chimaev. Maybe there's a little something going on. Like, yeah, man, can't stay healthy, getting in, whatever it is, injuries, whatever. You never know. Because I got to be honest, I had this conversation quite a bit with Habib. Is I'm going to win the title, defend it, and I'm done. He talked about that before his father passed. He's like, brother, I don't need to fight very long. Money's going to come. It is what it is. Like, I don't need to. So fight, win the title, defend it a couple times, and then be done. He's like, I don't need to be in the sport too long. So that made sense. And then when his father passed, it just sped it up a little bit. But regardless, he I can see that happening. You know, I mean, I wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, John.
Yeah,